So my name is Jack Waterlot, and I'm a fashion photographer. So I'm born in Paris. I quickly moved in Morocco due to my parents. My dad used to be the set prop designer for Mel Gibson. So we went there for Braveheart and Passion of the Christ and all of that. So that was a fun time for sure. Stayed there until my early teens, then moved to Central Africa, especially Congo. Then I stayed for about, 6-7 years. And after that, moved to the States when I was 22 and started fashion photography then. Before that, I was a National Geographic photographer. We can maybe talk about it a little bit later. I will say, honestly, I always was kind of a nomadic kind of person, I will say, What made me decide to come to the United States at the time was a woman. She used to live in LA. I don't know where she is now. And I was in Paris at the time. We met and she asked me if I wanted to come to LA and be with her. And I said naturally, yeah, sure, why not? So that's when it started, for me in the US. Yeah, no, before the US, I had no idea of what I wanted to do, period. I ended up being a National Geographic photographer in Africa by complete circumstances of events. And, it ended up being such a very specific situation who made me become a National Geographic photographer. When I came back to France when I was 21, 22, I actually didn't do anything for a whole year. I was in depression and I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself. And the only thing I knew was to hold on to a camera and take photography. In the US, I met one person that started everything. Then I don't even know if he knows the impact he had in my life, And that person showed me so many different things about fashion photography, and that's how it started. Well, I had a very specific relationship with my parents because they were not typical parents. They were true old school artists, as I call them. There was no parenting whatsoever. So we never had that kind of conversation. I was kind of there as a kid around them while they were doing their thing. Which I think became later on something that triggered me, meaning art in general. In my teen, I wanted to be the absolute opposite than my parents, which I'm pretty sure every teen wants to be. But my parents never told me when I was young, do this or do that, or push me towards something in particular. They were literally just, making me follow them wherever they had to be. And, long story short, I had a short period of time with my parents because I left on my own very early on. But yeah, art became something very important to me as a young adult rather than, being pushed by my parents or anything like this. Yeah, it's everything, I think. Especially right now that I'm in a point in my career where I know who I am as an artist. I realize it's everything that I saw as a child. I was so fortunate to see movies and be on set of movies that were, so heavily creative and time period pieces and the costume, the makeup and all of that things. That as a young adult, you don't realize, none of that things, but it stays over here. And when I started fashion photography, it was something that slowly triggered my attention, but were, not available to me because I didn't have the skills to be able to perform those ideas. And yes, to reply to your question, it definitely then was always in my mind as soon as I started to be open with my creativity. The first thing that comes into my mind when I try to do something new in terms of photography is I go towards time periods or ancient characters, ancient cultures, like things like that. And those were the movies I was on when I was a young child. So it was definitely everything, and it's definitely still everything. Yeah, I mean, I think there is two cameras. The first one I ever had, and the story is actually kind of cute. I was in Africa at the time, and the first girlfriend I was interested into having ever was the assistant of a National Geographic photographer. And to be able to see her, I asked the photographer to assist him so I could hang out with her. And when they had to leave Africa, he gifted me one of his cameras. So that was my first camera ever. And that's kind of like the first time that I was able to manipulate, anything like that before. So that had obviously a huge impact on me. And then I will say my first digital camera that I bought with my own money for the purpose of creating fashion photography. Because that was, I don't know, like, it's like your first car, your first, it's like my first baby, if I can say, so yeah. Well, the beauty of New York, I would say, is that it's all about hustle. You don't have the time to sleep on, life almost, While in LA, life is slower, and in New York, it's truly made for young artists, in my opinion, and it shows you right away, do you have it or you don't? Do you want it or So that really gave me literally right off the bat. I remember I get the worst apartment you can ever find. Then I was overpaying, every New Yorker story basically. The most exciting thing that I thought about New York right away was the ability of meeting great creative without having to have the network. So you go grab a coffee, you go grab a drink with whoever you know, and whoever you meet, you will be so surprised. They are all writer, sculptor, poet, singer, whatever. And you start to build a network of artists of every caliber. Some of them, surprisingly enough, will be way higher than you. And those are the people that you look up to, and they push you forward every day. And that's how I slowly build, if you want to call it network, my network. I was just always trying to feed myself with whoever I could find. And that was giving me a little bit more fire to be like, hey, I want to be that person. I want to be where he is or where she is at, So that's the beauty of New York, truly, because New York is a giant village, if you think about it. So with the pros and cons of that, but, So yeah, that's that. I don't put myself out there so much. I don't, I'm a homebody, but New York is that easy. You can make those connections that easy. So yeah. I mean, that's an interesting question because, I'm, again, like I said, I'm almost introvert and extrovert at the same time. So I'm not the best at making connection or friends, I do think that the first thing you have to do is make sure you stay and keep creating. You stay creative and keep creating. Even if it's at the smallest little scale, who cares? Just do things, create material that you can actually share and show. And at the very beginning, you have to get out of your shell. I had to get out of my shell because otherwise, you don't meet anybody. So when you get out of your shell and you show your work, you will always in New York find people interested to work with you. So that's what you have to do at the end of the day. Is at the beginning, you have to have that hustler mentality. You have to put yourself out there and try to make the best out of it as fast as possible, especially if you are a person like me who don't like to put yourself out there, But New York has that ability to give you extreme fast feedback. Are you good? Do you suck? Do you have people responding to your art or not? At whatever level, So, yeah, main advice here is stay busy. Make yourself busy. Don't wait on people to give you things. Be busy. It's intimidating for a lot of people. There is that sense of feeling overwhelmed because you don't know. But you have to realize that nobody knows at the very beginning. So you are just at that step, at that level right now. it's okay. You have to go through it, so go through it, you know? Like, don't overthink, I think. For sure. I mean, that's actually something that is weirdly so important, and you start to understand the value of it only later on. At the beginning, all you want to do is work with people who are bigger than you to try to push you up, or which I did that. And that was not my downfall, but my why now, you know. What did I gave me? It gave me experience, and I saw what it was like to work with people who are like so much higher than me at that time, and that's great. But I didn't build a team. So it took me years to find my team, then respond to what my brain, like how my brain functioned. So I'm so lucky that I finally find people. It took me, no joke, like I would say 7 to 8 years, easy. So yeah, growing with people without paying attention of like where they are at in their career is very important, because even though it looks like it's a very lonely art form, like I'm not a sculptor where it's just me in my atelier. I'm with a team of people. So yeah, I agree. Growing with people is so important. Yeah, I mean, you never know what tomorrow is made of, you know, for yourself and for others. So if you start like paying attention to that, that's not too good, you know. The top number one, I'm a nerd. I love fantasy, I love dreaming, I love, you know, history, I love geography, I love language, culture, all of that stuff. So because I'm a nerd, since day one, fashion photography gave me the platform and the opportunity to like, okay, I can play with my human dolls and create my fantasy. And slowly but surely it led to creating more and more fantasy, because now I understand that some of the viewers of those pictures get a 10-second high from it, where they just dream or think about nothing and just are mesmerized by the picture or not, whatever. But that becomes a little addictive, and I think that's the beauty of photography. Ultimately, the photography is not, I don't care what photographer says, it's not for you. You do it at first for you because it's something that you want to create, with the final result of showing it to create an emotion. So you do it ultimately for the people. So the why will be, all I want is to give X amount of time of dream to somebody. And all I love to do is creating characters and make fantasy at this point in my career. I truly love doing a non-conformative fashion photography. So if I can make you think about nothing else and just be like, wow, this is actually kind of cool, done. Happy Jack, you know, I did my job, you know. So, well, I think the biggest thing is, first, they are not yet so in between four walls, you know. They don't have the money. They don't have the money pressure. So they are like, all right, this is what I do. Like, this is what I do with what I have. And when you're talented doing your thing that way, you are so free. And when you are free and I work with you, then I can go anywhere. That's why, for example, I love working with drag queens. They are a huge source of inspiration for me. I mean, you know, I work with Nymphia, then her thing is all about bananas. Do you understand? Like, this is just like, the inspiration can come from anywhere, and like the silliest thing ever, and make it into something incredible. And we need this in fashion more than ever. It's way too serious, way too consumer driven, and blah. So that is the main reason why I think like working with young designers, working with young emerging talent is extremely appealing to me, because we are all free. We are free-minded people working together to create something that we just hope then people are gonna dig. And if they don't, we did it. So they might gonna like it tomorrow, you know? It's fine. So that's why I do it, I think. Well, I think first I never assisted ever. So I don't think I get tinted by anything and anyone, which I found out to be a strength. Then, yeah, of course, there is, you know, my family and being on movie sets. Then there is my life later on where I left my family early to be in Central Africa, in Congo, and I worked for associations to help build school and hospital. So I met incredible people on a human level, like who has nothing, quote to quote, but they have everything. And that gave me such a different perspective on life and a different perspective of people and a different pair of eyes completely. So when I started to do creative work, I always wanted to do something that makes me feel something, really, truly. You know, I had my up and down, and in my career where I tried to understand where I'm at, who I am, should I play the game, should I, you know, but there were always that long, you know, objective of, I just want to do me so much because I think I have a voice through my life that is interesting and different. So let's try to find something that, you know, make it work and is understandable for people. And then I started to just, you know, develop my nerdiness and watch, I don't even know how many documentaries about pretty much anything and everything. And as soon as something catch my eye or my attention, visually or story-wise, I just stop everything and I start to work on an idea, you know? So tomorrow I'm shooting something about ancient Aztec. And there you go. Like, why not, you know? I'd rather do that than shooting a Dior story, if you tell me, you know? So, yeah. I mean, it only happened to me after X amount of years because I started to not care. I think we live in a time where we pay attention about what people think about you so much. Especially as an artist, we forget that our main goal is not to please, is to showcase a point of view and disappear. Like if I do an exhibit tomorrow, I'm here for the launch of my exhibit and then you don't see me again because I don't want to see if people like it or not because it's almost too private, right? I just want them to have an experience and then done. So my main advice would be do not care of what people think, you know, but do work hard. Do not choose the easy way. Don't shoot the girl or the guy with the followers just because it gives you more. No. Focus on what you want to do and do it. Most of the time, nobody is going to respond to it at first. And later on, it might work out for you. Only might work out for you. That's the beauty of being an artist. Your life is on limbo even when you work so well. There is no recipe for success or for failure. I know how many people we know are so, you know, successful and they suck, and we all know. And vice versa, incredible artists that nobody knows. So there is no recipe. It's more do you and stop caring and show the world your work and hope for the best almost. It's kind of weird to say, but and it's same for your team. I was begging every day to find people who understood what I was trying to do and being able to comprehend my words because it comes out of a crazy brain. And then I'm like, okay, do you understand what I'm trying to say? So it took me forever, but you know, I cannot just work with one hair and one makeup. It took years of trying so many different people and experimenting and doing so many different things until you have that click. And then you, like we say, you grow together. You know, you have to have communicate. It's a relationship. You have to have communication with those people, you know. And yeah, team is everything because you create something together, you know. don't, like, for example, I don't consider my hair, my makeup, my stylist as hair, makeup, and stylist. I consider them as artists. So when I show them a vision, I'm like, this is just the idea. Now go do you and blow my mind. Like, that's all I want. I just want you to blow my mind. I'm never going to tell you, like, do a middle part, do this. No, I don't care. Do you. I want you to be part of the final product, you know? Because I think it's awesome. Like, that's the beauty of working with people, you know? So, yeah. It's simple. I think I just want to be able to be, you know, on the creative board of kids who try or start photography or videography, you know, and show that, you know, because I was, you know, opening my mind to try different things, that they can and they should as well, you know, and that's pretty much it. I don't think anything else really matter, you know, because as an artist, your inspiration are other artists. So that should be your priority, is to become an inspiration for other artists. That's the top you can achieve, I think, you know. I want to push even more the idea of showcasing culture and stories that get either forgotten or a little bit more became just mainstream attraction, you know. For example, why do I do the Aztecs? It's because visually they were just so striking and beautiful. And I think it's been time since we've seen something inspired by it, or like a modern take on it, or whatever. Like, just to, like, you know, get those ancient culture, like, still some kind of life, because they made us who we are now, you know? So I really love to play with that. I really love to play with the idea of also traveling and being able to meet people who have the most opposite life than me and get so inspired by that, you know? So I think you're going to be able to see soon, I hope, travel shots and travel, you know, projects where I take my fashion photography style into different kind of photography medium, meaning like documentary style and so on. You know, when I started to be a photographer for the National Geographic, I was in Africa at the time, and I was doing war photography as an underage kid. I was 17 when I started. I did that for 3 years, and it fucked me up, sorry for the word, to also made me meet the greatest people that I will never meet again. I know for a fact. So I'm so grateful for that. The transition was interesting. It was almost by, I don't know what else to do. I only did, this was my first job, in a way, National Geographic, as a photographer. When I came to America, I didn't know what to do. I didn't speak English. I didn't have my green card or a visa or none of that. I was completely illegal and completely broke. So the only thing I could kind of do without having to talk too much is grab a camera and shoot people. And I remember my hustle was to go to Trader Joe's, shout out to Trader Joe's, in LA, and go see cute girls and cute guys and be, excuse me, are you an actor? I can shoot your headshot for $50. And I was doing that every single day. And I barely spoke English, and that was my way of making some cash. I started fashion photography when I met at Barnes and Nobles in LA, older man dressed up as a pirate. And I looked at him and I was like, excuse me, I found you, like, who are you? I was genuinely so curious. His name is Peter Savick, and he's one of the icons of fashion as a hairstylist. He made Madonna blonde, he worked with Herb Ritts, and I mean, he did just, see, his portfolio is just iconic. And I had no idea who he was. I had no idea of who all of those names were. And he was just like, yeah, what do you do? And I told him, I was like, well, I try to be a photographer. And he became my teacher. He used to take me once a week to the Santa Monica Library and show me every single Harper's Bazaar and Vogue since the 50s to early 90s, every issue. And we used to go through everything. I was taking photos with my phone. He was explaining to me who was that, how he did it. Like, he knew even photography techniques. And that blew my mind. you know, like he was just doing all of that. I actually, at the time, I didn't even understood how amazing that was. I was just thinking, yeah, he just likes spending time with me, you know? But that created such a fire inside of me and unlocked so many doors of creativity. I was seeing pictures in the 60s who were completely out of this world, and I was like, that is the coolest fucking thing that I ever seen. I want to do that. And that's truly where I was like, okay, fashion photography is the only platform right now where I can take photos and be crazy, like go out there and create fantasy. And that just like almost everything like you know, put together in my brain and was like, all right, tunnel vision, that's everything I want to do. So yeah, thank you, Peter Sadik, for that, you know. That was definitely, he's like my first and last teacher, you know. And he don't even know about it, I'm sure, you know.